Welcome back to another episode of Dialogue Tree. This is episode 11, season 2. My name is Daniel Padilla, and as always, I am joined by my wonderful friend, Matthew Owen Connell Peterson.
Good evening.
What's going on, dude? What's cooking?
You know, it's a little later than usual. Nothing much. I was just waiting for you to take a shit after your exciting new training for your new job.
Yeah, I do appreciate your patience with that. I did, because we had a little bit of a break. The session before the supper break ended a little bit earlier, so I took advantage and went to go get a coffee before my last meeting of the evening. But of course, coffee has some gastrointestinal implications, which I couldn't handle until my last meeting was over. So I do appreciate your patience. But here we are. I do want to say though, Owen has apologized for his failure to send a meme while we were recording yesterday. So Owen, if you're listening to this, which I'm sure you are, better fucking be. I just want to say, I accept your apology, man. It's very reasonable.
He did. I guess this technically is a meme. He sent a picture of Keanu Reeves licking a spoon.
Right. Because he also sent an image of himself with a spoon.
It's mirroring himself eating a blizzard.
Right.
I get it.
Right. So,
why the hell does Owen have a picture of Keanu Reeves licking a spoon on his phone?
Dude, he also has images of Ben Affleck. He has pictures of Ben Affleck smoking right outside his house. He has pictures of Ben Affleck dropping like a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts drinks right in front of his house.
You're right.
Yeah, there's a lot of images of celebrities just doing casual, regular citizens.
Yeah,
right.
You're right.
What's going on with your life, dude? What's good and new?
I'm reading a new book off the Bobby Scar reading list.
Oh no shit! Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's just kind of whenever Bobby Scar commentates Melee, he'll like talk about Buddhism or fucking whatever because he's like that.
God damn. All right, interesting.
But this book is not like a Buddhist book or anything. But
gotcha.
No, it's like an academic book about how this guy views like the construction of games. And Bobby Scar was talking about this in like relation to Melee, but I think anyone could read this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot in it. It's about like society and the construction of like agreements people take on to like have the idea of property and everything. It's very, very much you could read this and apply whatever you want to it. So it's definitely not just like a video game book about games. It's just about like game as a concept of, I don't know, like an agreed act between people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Goddamn. I don't know. I guess I'm surprised how like specific that sounds, and I wonder how Bobby Scar came across this book is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't know. It's called, I think it's called Finite and Infinite Games. I don't remember the author's name.
Right. Interesting.
And he just talks about the distinction between like a game of Melee, like a contest between two people. And once the outcome is decided, it's like over. And that particular game can never happen again.
And
the distinction between that and like the concept of playing Melee as like an idea that you try to further forever and you want to never like know the result of it, know the outcome of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Because like playing Melee can entail more than like the one, I guess, singular match, if you will. Right? It's just like playing Melee could entail like every time you boot up the game to do anything within the game. Right? Is that kind of like the idea?
No, he calls it an infinite game. He says like playing that game is basically the objective of the game is so that people will always keep playing Melee. I guess would be the idea. Like you want it to never stop happening.
Gotcha.
Like that perpetuation of the idea itself.
Yeah, I guess I just never really thought of sort of such deep philosophical implications of games, video games or otherwise. Like sport even. I don't know. I just never really.
Yeah, I didn't finish reading it, but it is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You'd probably get a kick out of it. It's definitely weird. It's just this like guy's like, it seems like his life's thesis. Honestly, it seems like this is like the culmination of everything he's like been researching into.
What's the tone of the writing? Is it like straight up like academic, like a textbook, like you would read like a fucking like economics book, or is it like a dude writing like an essay and like talking about himself and shit like that? I don't know.
He uses like the first person sometimes, but not like to tell stories about himself more in like as an example, I guess.
Gotcha.
It's not like completely academic, but it definitely uses some a vocabulary that's not like casual.
Right. Gotcha. Interesting. Do you know what Bobby Scar does? Like with his like, I guess what his profession is outside of like melee stuff? I don't
Yeah,
know. Do
it's
you have
funny. He's like a businessman.
no shit? Do you know
Yeah,
it? Do
so
you know
Bobby
exactly what of?
No, I just know Bobby Scar's father is Bobby Scar is a famous melee player and commentator, by the way.
Of course.
Uh his dad is like a businessman, and Bobby Scar went to college, and then I was like, Dad, I'm actually gonna become like a video game tournament organizer. And his dad is like,
Oh,
what the fuck does that mean? Right.
right. Right.
So I mean, he actually has lots of good stories about like going, like having all these weird like nerds, because there's all these crazy people in the melee community, like meet his dad and have these weird interactions. I know he tells one story about how he made his dad drive Mewtwo King home because they like both lived in New Jersey or whatever.
Right.
And Mewtwo King was like, "Yeah, I won't give you the directions to my house until you stop and get me chicken McNuggets at McDonald's."
No shit.
To this guy I'd never met. So I don't know. It's a really weird mixing of worlds.
Yeah, gotcha. That's wild. That is funny though. That is a that is a good funny story. But I guess that just makes me think how like wild the things you can get into are, like how varied and how broad I guess people's professional horizons can be these days. Because like imagine this guy making like a career out of like organizing video game events, right? Like how
Yeah.
specific is that, man? And I'm thinking also like on fucking like Aaron Hansen, like dude, I don't know, like dude never even finished high school as far as I understand. You know what I mean? But like he owns like a YouTube channel that has like over 5 million subscribers, which I don't know how much money that necessarily generates, but
I'm
like
sure he
beyond
makes
that,
plenty of money.
yeah, but like what I'm getting at is like, but even outside of YouTube, right? Like, well, of course, like he gets they do a lot of sponsorships like for Game Grumps videos now, which I'm sure they never used to do that before. Beyond that, like he also founded his own like touring company as well, right? And he like his touring company organizes like the Game Grumps tours and like the fucking the Ninja Sex Party tours, and I think even this could be totally wrong, but I think even Gerard Khalil, the completionist tours, I think Aaron Hansen's company worked with that. I think so. That's just wild, right? Like how this guy, and not to say that like formal education entails you any kind of opportunities or should like absolutely just by default award you any kind of like professional opportunities, but it's still a weird thing, right? You would just imagine that like someone who has formal education is just more likely to like find themselves with a better time in terms of like finding jobs and like developing themselves professional. This guy didn't even finish high school and he's doing all this shit. He's able to like do all this shit for himself too, which I think is just, and again, just weirdly specific, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I
I don't
think
know.
the
I just think
internet
it's
changed a
super
lot
cool.
of things. You don't really need anything besides like I don't want to say luck, but you don't need any prerequisite to just become rich and famous now with the advent of the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah. Right. Like I just put in the effort that like, I don't know, to make something that like people will find worthwhile, cause like, I think,
Yeah.
I don't know, like you can be like personable, but like if I don't know, like if you put like actual effort into things, like I'm thinking about fucking like, Alpha Rap, like he's like a chill, fun dude to like listen to, but also like his videos are like well edited and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
like puts out a lot of content and stuff. So like, yeah, like it's, I don't know, as long as you put in the effort too, right? Like you don't have to necessarily do something like there isn't like a set thing that like will lead. I don't know, because like I feel like here in Honduras, people still have like we're kind of transitioning out of that very very slowly, but like a lot of people still hold like the idea that like to do something in life and to be like successful, and by successful I mean like monetarily like independent in some kind of capacity, you have to be like either an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or a banker, that kind of shit, you know what I mean? Whereas like as you
Yeah.
say, like there's so much more shit that you can do now. Like of course it'll entail like some kind of effort, absolutely, right? Everything, if you want to do it well, you
Yeah.
will have to put in the effort and the time, but like there isn't just like a set number of branches that you can take to like become successful.
But it's very I mean, you still will make money if you do those jobs.
But you're not just like tied to those. I guess those aren't like the only alternatives, I guess is what I mean.
It's
You know?
appealing to have like a consistent worldview though, and to like have the confidence knowing that like your children can like have a predefined path to success or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to
right.
worry. But honestly, the best thing you can be in life is lucky because you could
Yeah.
just die no matter what you do.
Yeah,
So
right. You can be like rich and then you can be a millionaire, but then like the airplane that you're riding can just like fucking fall apart randomly.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Very interesting. Very interesting. And I guess just weirdly segueing into something that's like kind of been going on with my life. I just quit my job this week, which is
Yeah,
wild.
yeah,
You know, it's a big fucking step. And I've been weirdly emotional about it, not necessarily because I was like emotionally attached to the job itself, but just because I'm emotional about like big life transitions, you know, and like of course, terminating a job that I held for like at least a year and a half, pretty much my entire time that I've been back in Honduras for, you know, like terminating that job entails like a big life transition, you know what I mean? So like
yeah.
it's
Of
just
course.
like the all the emotions that like entails, you know. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that's been going on in my life. My last day was on Monday. I had one last presentation yesterday evening, and yeah, that was it. Out of nowhere, I just had a lot of like messages from my colleagues on my phone saying like, "Dude, thank you so much. We appreciate you. See you next time." And that's just I don't know. It just puts you in like a weird. It puts me anyway in like a weird emotional
Mhm.
state. You know?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's weird that things just change in your life and it's like so fast and then just everything is entirely different,
Yeah,
you know?
right. Like my life is about to be like fundamentally fucking different than it
Yeah.
was like 2 months ago, even. You know what I mean?
So
So
you started your training.
yeah. So updates. I was accepted into a graduate resident director position for
Mhm.
college in Massachusetts, and so this is why I quit my job. And yeah, I'm still in Honduras because I had to sort out all my paperwork to be able to like legally travel into the United States, meaning my like
Yeah.
student visa and such. So that is still getting processed, but like I because of like the whole COVID situation, you know, of course, a lot of like the training stuff was going to be happening over Zoom and remotely anyway. So I'm able to like tune in to pretty much all of training all the way from here, and I expect and I hope to be traveling into the United States within I don't know like the next week or so, just about.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully everything goes smoothly and there's a lot going on in the US right now. Like I just
Yeah.
feel like because this we're like a week behind because we record this and it comes out a week later. I feel like
All right.
it's pointless to like talk about that stuff like that.
Right.
You know what I
Fair.
mean? Like
Fair.
I don't know. It's just weird because then people are like, "Yeah, I heard about this last week," and we've like kind of
And
moved
we're
on
only
past
just
it already.
yeah, some other bullshit already happened, and we're still talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, exactly. Like last week, I would have talked about the riot thing at the Capitol, but now Trump was impeached today, and then next week, maybe I don't know how many days are left. Biden might be in office next week. Like, there's just so much going on very fast right now.
Yeah,
It's like you
god
can't be a
damn.
week behind.
Right. That's I don't know. That's just so funny. That's so that's not funny, haha, but it's like funny, curious how that's something that we're talking about, and that's like a sentence that you can say right now, right? Like last
Yeah,
week, a riot stormed the fucking U.S. Capitol.
U.S. Capitol building. Yeah,
And this week, the president of the United States got impeached the second time in his term.
yeah,
You know, like what a fucking sentence to say, man. I
yeah.
don't know.
It's
God
it's
damn.
just hard to keep up.
Right. God damn. But yeah, no, so yeah, right. On top of like transition, I guess transitioning um within the current circumstances is also just like a little bit scary, right? Because again, we'll be traveling into the United States in the midst of a global pandemic, and like it's just scary to
Yeah,
think about like I don't know, like moving such a long distance, or, you know, being stuck in an airplane, a couple airplanes actually for so long with like, I don't know, like I'm scared that I'll potentially get sick. Like I understand air travel is supposed to be pretty safe. I don't know how they do it, but I understand it is supposed to be pretty safe. But then once I land in the United States, right, there's all this like sort of political turmoil, which I don't know how it's going to unfold within the next couple of weeks, you know? So yeah.
yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to think that like by like the next couple of recordings, I might already be in the United States. It's fucking weird to think,
Yeah,
you know.
listening to this.
So going back to you're reading that book suggested or recommended by Bobby Scar.
Oh yeah.
Did you end up finding out that there was in fact a Dune 3?
There's so many Dunes, actually. I had no idea.
Oh no shit.
I have to go get Dune 3 on my Kindle though, because they have there's like 6 other Dune books at the library, but none of them are the 3rd book.
Oh no, dude. Hate when that
Or someone
happens.
has
Yeah.
the 3rd book, maybe. Maybe it's checked
Right.
out. I don't know.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
Gotcha.
there's apparently this is like a very extensive universe of like lore. I didn't know this.
And is it are they all by like the same author? Do you know?
Yeah.
Oh damn, dude.
I forget his name. Frank Herbert or something. I don't know.
Right. Right. No, very cool. I don't know a whole lot about Dune. Like, I don't think I learned about Dune until I was like back in college, with like Clark people who would talk about it. So I really
No,
don't know
Dune is
much about
cool.
it. Yeah, yeah.
There's this shitty Sega Genesis game.
Oh no
I think
shit.
people
Based
are
on
into it, but it's just like it's an old RTS game, and I don't even like RTS games in the modern era.
it's an RTS on the Sega Genesis. Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
dude.
Yeah, that doesn't sound ideal.
No, it's not.
Is it based on like the
Anyways,
book or on the movie? Do you even know this?
yeah, it's on the planet, and you just kind of like have units fight. I don't even know if there's a campaign with a story or anything.
Gotcha. Just like random like skirmishes or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't invested much time into it.
Yeah.
It was just
Interesting. I
on
mean,
my PSP Genesis like download. It came with some
right.
games, and Dune 2 was in there.
That's fucking funny, man.
Yeah.
That's wild. Um,
Anyways,
yeah. I don't know. There are weirdly like a bunch of RTSs. Like I remember my first experiences with fucking Command and Conquer was on the PS1, and I was very little, so I like didn't really understand what was going on. But I do remember the game being called Command and Conquer, and like I thought it was just wild that people were actually playing on this on the PlayStation 1. I do think there were Command and Conquer games on the N64 too, of all fucking consoles.
mhm.
And I know that I owned at some point Command and Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars on the Xbox 360, and that worked pretty well. For someone who doesn't really play a lot of RTSs, so I would, not enough, definitely not enough to like say like, all right, this is bullshit. Why would I play this on a console instead of a PC, which is so much better? I don't have that kind of concept of playing RTSs on PC, but like, I don't know. Command and Conquer 3 worked pretty well on the 360, and it looked nice too. Like I don't know, the graphics were cool. I've never owned a graphically intensive computer. So like just being able to play a game like that on the Xbox 360 at like full graphics or whatever, I don't know, it was cool.
There'll always be some jank when you try to do like a kind of mouse and keyboard thing on console, though.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I'm
know?
sure there was some weird, like, some kind of like practicality loss in translation. I'm
Yeah.
certain, not anything that I would notice. I don't think, but I mean, I'm sure there are things. Some concessions had to be made. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just how it goes.
right. You say you don't play a lot of RTSs. Have you ever like get into one or try getting into one at all?
I actually played one, a Lord of the Rings one I kinda liked, but I honestly don't remember what it's called at all, and I was, like, very
Uh,
young.
I think I might. I think it might be called Battle for Middle Earth. I think.
You know, it could have been.
Yeah, I don't know what the title of that game is either, but I do know that it exists. Yes, which is actually like sounds like a pretty interesting fucking concept, actually something that I should look
Yeah,
into.
I feel like it works a lot better when the story is already established, because then you don't need to watch, like, this in-engine RTS shitty cutscenes with, like, usually bad voice acting to,
Right,
you know, explain the story, and you just kind of, like, know what's going on.
right.
I think that kinda works.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I think like the RTSs that I've played, and I don't know, dude. Again, I think I talked about this like a couple of weeks ago. I'm someone who like mostly just plays Mega Man and like that kind of platformers. And I do have like an interest in like deeper games, right? Like I've talked about how like I like RPGs and I like their stories, but like the mechanics are just too deep. There are a lot of like RTSs that I like the concepts. I like their universes, like fucking like
Mhm.
Warhammer 40,000. I think that universe is super cool. And of course, I've like dabbled into like the RTS games, but I'm just absolute total garbage at them. So like I end up
Right.
getting like super like unmotivated because I just suck at them. But yeah, I know I've tried playing that. That's pretty good. The Dawn of War games are pretty good. For as much as I've played them, and like the Command and Conquer games, I've always liked to, especially Red Alert. But those are really like the only two RTSs that I've like really like delved into. Uh,
Right. Yeah, it
yeah,
sucks when you wanna play a game, but it's just, like, too much. There's
Yeah.
definitely games like that.
Right. And like I understand like there being like a fucking like a skill ceiling, like Rocket League, right? There was a point in time where like Rocket League like intimidated me just because I would see like Nick the asshole Kirshner playing it, and whatever, and like I'd be like,
Yeah,
shit, I'm never gonna be that good or whatever. And I probably still will never catch up to him, but like at least like the game itself is not that hard to understand, right? Like all you have to
yeah.
do
The
is just like
objective is simple.
yeah, and all you have to do is just like fine tune your reflexes and whatever, right? Like there's not, like fucking like if you're playing an RTS, you have to like know every unit, you have to like know what every building does, you have to like know what like the opposing factions are good at and all that kind
Yeah,
of shit, like resource management, like in-depth resource management. I don't know, Rocket League, you're playing with a rocket car and like you're trying to get the ball into the opposition's goal, right? And like there's a lot of ways that you can accomplish that. You can get better at the game, but like getting better at the game doesn't entail like a deep fucking understanding of like different pieces. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're just
yeah.
moving, learning how to like maneuver a rocket car.
There's definitely games where you start a new game and you'll just like immediately be like overwhelmed with like menus and notifications about like mechanics you don't really understand, and
Right.
you just kind of click buttons and then you lose and you're like, damn, I really have no idea what's going on. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, damn. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's been my experience with like a lot of like the latter RTSs that I've tried. All right, I'm never gonna understand how to do this shit. So like I end up just giving up. you know?
It's doable, but it would take a considerable amount of mental effort that's I'm just
Yeah.
not into.
Right. And that's precisely it, right? Whereas, like something like Rocket League, like I can play with you guys, and it ends
Yeah,
up being fun. And again, I'm trying to like articulate this as well as I can. I guess another way that something else that I would say about a game like Rocket League is that, and I guess this is true for everything. I don't know. But like, again, even without knowing a whole lot about, I don't know, you'll play Rocket League and you'll keep playing it and you'll just like naturally get better, right? Whereas like if you can play like an RTS, but if you don't actually like put time into like reading about every unit, reading about every fucking like building, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot harder to like get better at it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You actually have to like read the mechanics and like do the whatever. It's just I don't know. I
yeah.
think it's a totally different experience.
I get that. I've
Right?
tried to play Dwarf Fortress and just completely bounced off it because of shit like that.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like it's like not SimCity, but it's like you like control a colony of dwarves,
Oh,
build shit and they live in it and whatever. But
right.
like I was trying to put like a staircase so they could go upstairs into the second level of this building, and they wouldn't go up it. Like I built it, but it wasn't working. And
Oh
I was
no,
like on
dude.
the wiki and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I had to watch a YouTube video, and it's like this 8-minute video of this dude with an art pad, and he's like drawing 3D diagrams of stairs like in space to explain to you the difference between the 4 types of stair, how they relate to like the Z level and everything.
God damn.
It's just telling you how to put like how the stairs work. And at the end, I still didn't quite get it, and I was like, I'm not playing this fucking game.
So you watched the whole shit and you still didn't fucking like.
It wasn't even a bad video. I think
Yeah.
like yeah, it's just like this is too much. I just want them to go
Right.
up a
Right.
level.
Exactly. It was more like a case of like you just like tuning out just because it was a lot more convoluted maybe than like the game needed it to be or something. I don't know. I
Yeah,
totally get
it is an indie game in alpha, and you have to focus what you want to work on, and it does what it wants to do very well. But I do sometimes watch it on YouTube because it's just like people know what's going on, and they can
Yeah.
like do all the shitty, boring parts, and I can just like enjoy the cool parts of the game without having to actually grind it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. God damn. You wanna I don't know, what else do you wanna was there anything else you wanted to bring to the table? Or anything else you wanted to add about whatever? I don't even know what topic we're talking
I don't know, nothing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now is a good time to bring it up because now is like when people drop their New Year's resolutions.
Oh,
Um,
right.
and I think we have a very poor like relationship with New Year's resolutions, at least in America. I don't know if it's an American thing specifically to like have a idea of a New Year's resolution. I assume it's not, but I think we
Right.
deal with it very poorly in America.
Right.
Do people make though in Honduras?
Yeah, I know they do, but again, we are so like Americanized, like all the culture that we consume. Not
Oh,
all of
that's
it, because of
true.
course,
Right.
yeah, of course, there's local culture, but like fucking, I don't know, dude. Like 50 to 60% of the culture that we consume, it all mostly just comes from the United States as well. So like, I couldn't tell you if this is something that just like naturally occurred to Hondurans at some point, or if it's just
Right.
something that's been like adopted from hearing it in American media. You
I
know?
forgot about that.
No, totally
But
fair.
basically, yeah, it's good to set a goal to have positive change in your life. Like that's
Yeah,
not an issue, and also it's like a trade off, right? You have to be like, what time am I in my life am I using that I want to exchange for this other activity? You don't just gain more time by deciding to work out more. You have to fit the workout into your schedule
yeah,
of whatever
yeah,
you're
yeah.
already
Of
doing.
course, it's the opportunity cost. This is
Yeah.
very economic.
So like say someone they want to read more and they're like, okay, when I get home from work, instead of watching TV before I make dinner, I'm going to read instead of watching TV. Just like a
Right.
very simple example. And they say, I want to do this every day for the whole year. And then they do it for like 19 days. And then on the 20th day, they're really tired. And they're like, yeah, I'm just going to watch Judge Judy or whatever. And they just fucking watch TV. And then
Right.
after, for the rest of the day and the week, they like feel awful about themselves because they're like, I've failed my New Year's resolution and they hate themselves. And it's like the whole year is wasted, right?
Yeah.
You should be looking at the fact that 95% of the time you made the decision between the two options to read instead of watching TV. And 95% of the time is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like that's a very good change if you or 19 out of 20 days you read. Like that's a very you're really achieving your goal there. But people make it so like definitive and they don't really see it as having it in your mind to make a positive decision when you have the choice. They just think of it as you have to do this or you fail or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I totally get that. Yeah.
Like it might even be better to not read if you really upset that you were like forcing yourself to do it and you'd associate
Right.
like not liking it with reading or something.
Yeah.
That's like more abstract. But in the example, the person has achieved their goal, but they feel like they've completely failed because of their mindset.
And because they just miss reading maybe 1 or 2 or 3 days, right? And themselves. Yeah. No, I totally
Yeah,
get
but
that.
that's exactly how people think of New Year's resolutions, and it's awful.
Yeah, I do. Well, yeah, I would believe that. And so the way that I see it, man, I don't like, because at the end of the day, like a year is just like a fucking arbitrary fucking construct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it, sure, like it does help us to like put order and like schedule like all our lives around it like a lot, I guess, better or more conveniently. But like, I'm never gonna wait for New Year's to like do something. You know what I mean? Like, I want to learn
Mhm.
Portuguese. Maybe I'll start doing that in 2022. Fuck that. I don't know. I can just start fucking learning Portuguese whenever the fuck. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm gonna start working out. I'm gonna start. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna hold out. I'm gonna fucking pig out for the rest of this year and like eat like shit and
right.
just like be a slob for the rest of this year. And I'm gonna actually start working out 2022. That's gonna when I'm actually nah, dude. You know what I mean? Like I'm someone who's like I can allow myself to like set a goal whenever, and if I know that it's going to improve myself, then why even like fucking wait for it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. But so I think some people just don't think
Yeah.
to change anything until like New Year's because what everyone else is trying to do it.
For whatever reason, the habits that you like and that you enjoy doing, they might not always work out just because life can hit you like a fucking train, like at any point in time. You know what I mean? So like you also have to like realize that and not feel necessarily like guilty. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I'm all about flexibility too. Like yeah, like I am. I have like goals when it comes to something like jumping rope. Like I hope to one day be able to like jump just like like jump my routine to like make it similar to like a boxing match, right? Like sets of three, like 12 sets of 3 minutes straight jumping rope, right? That's what I
Mhm.
aspire to. That's my goal. And so like there will be days, where I'm gonna try to work out like 20 minutes or something to like try to achieve that goal. But like I realize that like the next day I can like again it could just be like the one day where like working out is not fun or it just doesn't feel good for whatever reason because bodies change, whatever, I don't know. And I just end up jumping rope for 5 minutes. And you had to just have to like just not let that make you feel shitty about yourself, right? It's just I don't
Yeah.
know, like it's a habit, it's something you enjoy, it's gonna happen. Yeah, as long as you like just really think that it's something that's good for you and really think that's something that's fun for you, like you can just go ahead and pick it back up and do it for longer, right? Like if you're reading, you can just go ahead and pick up another book like a week after you last read or whatever and just keep going. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
totally
you
agree
might
with
just
you.
have less time to do stuff because of reasons outside your control.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you should just measure like your success not in the physical amount of time you've literally dedicated to it,
Yeah.
but like the amount of times you've decided to do it when you could. It's maybe you decided to read every day this year, but you had a lot less time for whatever reason, and you'd
Right.
be like, man, I read less this year, but you actually decided to read more.
Right. And like as long as you like also like, realize whether or not whatever you're trying to do is like a positive change in your life, you know what I mean? I think that's also like important as well. Like realizing that like you don't have to do a New Year's resolution, something like, oh, I'm gonna read every day this year, or I'm gonna try to read more books this year. You know, again, I think setting like tangible goals like that is good, but like I also think just being flexible on yourself, man. Like fucking things change, dude. Don't feel shitty about yourself for not necessarily like accomplishing these goals, you know?
I would say you should just not set it as such a binary thing in the first place.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like this is kind of like my sentiment with like Lent too. You know what I mean? Like I know a lot of people who are like,
Mm.
you know what, I'm gonna give up swearing during Lent. The issue with that, like if you're gonna give up swearing for like a certain amount of time as like some kind of like, I don't know, as like a symbolic type of fasting for like a specific type of reason, I think that's valid. You know what I mean? Like for example, my brother got sick a couple of months ago, right? And I was like, all
Mhm.
right, as a kind of like symbolic fasting in honor of my brother's health, I'm gonna try to not use Instagram and Twitter as much, right? And if my brother, my brother hopefully, like thankfully started feeling a lot better, getting a lot better, and
Yeah,
everything. So I'm like, all right, like I can go back to like, I feel like I've been measuring myself even better after that, right? Like after
right.
not using Twitter all that much, I'm like, oh, I guess this is not something that I really needed in my life. So like, I've gone better because of that. But like, I don't know, like a lot of people go into like Lent and be like, I'm not gonna swear, for 40 days because church tells me that there's something that I need to give up for 40 days. But I feel like that's pointless if you're in the end just going to go back to swearing your life out once those 40 days end. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, it's the thing is, it's a religious thing, so it's kind of different. I mean, if you just do Lent without being religious, that's more of like a goal. But
Right.
I don't know, it's hard to say because it's like religion is kind of an arbitrary thing anyway. So
Yeah, I guess my point with that was like sure it's religious, but I feel like religion itself, like all the traditions that revolve around religion, they do have a purpose as well, right? Like again, I feel like if you were trying to give up swearing for like the 40 days of Lent, so like you can like eventually try to swear less and less to the point that you don't swear anymore. I feel like that's valuable, right?
I would say the purpose is to prove your devotion to God.
Right. And right, of course. And if the idea is just eventually make you feel like a lot better than you feel now, like you have to like give up something that you can like live without and whatever, right? Like
Right.
I don't know. Yeah.
I
It's
I
just I
think
don't
it's
know.
also supposed to symbolize you're supposed to like relate to Jesus because Jesus
Right.
didn't have food or water for the 40 days or whatever, I think is the
Right.
point.
Yeah, I mean you're right. You're totally right about Lent. There is a like symbolic like religious sentiment to it, but I don't know. I feel like it's still also like an arbitrary amount of time, right? Like New Year's resolutions, giving up something Lent for 40 days. That's kind of like the parallel that I was drawing.
That's true.
Anything else you were thinking about? I don't know.
No, that was pretty much it. I just thought about it because this is the time whenever everyone goes to the gym for 3 weeks and then everyone stops going to the gym this week.
Right. Yeah,
You
and then
know?
right, that's exactly it, right? They stopped going for like one random Tuesday in January and be like, oh
Yeah.
fuck it, I'm done. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would
No.
just like it's like a downward spiral.
Yeah. No, again, I guess just to like synthesize, I guess my sentiments towards it is just like make it a habit, man. And the habits don't always have to like entail the same routine, the same schedule, the same amount of time, whatever. Just like just be consistent about doing something. Maybe one day you do 5 minutes, maybe the next day you'll do 20, 30, an hour. I don't know. Just be
Yeah.
consistent about it. Did you have like a New Year's resolution? Do you like set goals
No,
for yourself?
not really. It's hard to learn a language and do anything else. Um,
Yeah.
I'll be honest. To learn a
Right.
language
Right.
well, at least, especially something that's not Latin based, I could probably learn Spanish in like 2 years if I really tried and like
Yeah.
just use like context to speak it decently well enough, though I'd still sound
Right.
like it's fucking American or whatever.
Yeah. No, I mean, and whatever, dude. Like even like the last presentation that I had to give was like the sub skills of speaking. And like when it comes to like learning or teaching languages, teaching whatever language as a second language, and like I'm someone who believes that as far as you can like communicate successfully, even if like you don't use the correct like gender for a word or whatever. Like I don't give a shit.
Mhm.
Like I understand what you're saying. So like yeah, I don't know.
I mean, yeah,
I get that.
that's true. I think there's definitely a distinction though between like using what's necessarily like the proper grammar and just being like casual and conversational and like having a fluent like way of speaking with someone. You know what I mean? Like you can say
Right,
ain't in English
right,
or whatever,
right,
and people know what you mean.
right,
But it's still you're still like speaking like I don't want to say fluently. Fluent is such a loaded word, and it's
right,
really not great that we only have fluent in English.
right.
But you're speaking in a way that's engaging and like sounds.
Natural.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds right to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
very
Gotcha.
hard to verbalize, but you can definitely know what I mean just from like having talked to someone who's not a native speaker of your language.
Right, 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 right. Yeah. Um, This is going back. I think there was a year, maybe not last year, but like a couple of years, or maybe even 3 years ago, where like the fucking Duolingo servers were saturated, like and like throughout like the first week or so of
Mhm.
January, because like I guess people that was people's New Year's resolution. Oh shit, this year I'm going to learn fucking Japanese or whatever.
Yeah, that's actually that you should be wary of. I mean, not just any service, any company, whatever that you should,
Yeah,
anything free, but you should be wary that
yeah,
Duolingo does best when you don't do well. Their business model is based off you not knowing the language at the end of the day. And
right.
you have to understand that uh, it's kind of hard to explain, but I always get really annoyed when I get a sentence in Duolingo and I translate it into English in like in a very casual way. Like not a one-to-one word translation, but
Yeah,
it's an elegant and casual synthesis of what it is to an English speaker. Like they totally understand what I said.
right,
And Duolingo's like, this is wrong because you didn't
right.
go word for word. And you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and then you lose a life, and then you won't be able to practice until whenever, kind of shit.
it encourages memorization in a way that's kind of contrary to the way you should actually learn a language because you don't want to learn any other language and then like translate in your head, right?
Oh, right, right,
You
right.
want to you just want to think in your brain. You just want to think
Yeah,
in thinking, and then
right.
you understand like this concept, and then you can just output the concept in English in however way you would say it naturally in English. You don't want to just learn. You don't want to memorize like these symbols mean this sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't always want to just like translate whatever you're trying to say from your native language. You want to be able to just like naturally express these sentiments in the target language without having to translate. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, of course, of course.
And I understand that that is a more difficult thing to grade, like on a machine based scale or whatever. You know,
Right, right, right.
like
Yeah,
you really need to just talk to someone to tell if they're fluent or not. Uh,
right,
I think you should not just use Duolingo with no supplement at all. I think
right,
that that's kind of harmful, and I think you
right, right.
should just be like aware of this phenomenon and understand that even if Duolingo marks you wrong, that Duolingo is not perfect. It is not the grand arbiter, and
Right.
maybe just understand that even when you give it what it wants, that you could have still been right.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly that, right? Like you could like whatever you're typing in can totally be like correct and like understandable, but like if it's not exactly what the fucking app wants you to like input, it's gonna mark you wrong and it's gonna make you feel like shit. Oh, I'm dumb. I'm not learning.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I guess this is the last thing that I know that I wanted to touch upon was fucking Hungry Box won the Gallon Smash
That's
online
true. The
major
Galinks
tournament.
Melee
Galent.
Open grounded actionable ledge intangibility.
Right. And as but of course, as we've mentioned before earlier in this recording, by the time that this episode gets published, it's going to be fucking old as news. But like, I still want to talk about it because this is pretty much like the first major, like the first real major that I've seen HBox win since I like consider myself an HBox fan. So like,
Yeah.
I'm really fucking happy about it.
I know people who aren't fans of him are definitely not going to give him any recognition because like a lot of the
Because
usual suspects were not here.
right, right, right.
And
And I
it
think
was
that's
still a
kind of
cool
fair.
tournament. Like you got to see, it was basically like kind of like the top 16 at another tournament was the top
Right.
8 at this one, but it was still
Yeah, and
cool.
right. Like even I think that's fair, right? Saying the fact that he didn't have to like match up against fucking like Mango or like Zayn. I do think it's fair to like acknowledge that, but also like HBox was doing pretty poorly even in like top 16s all of last year, right? So the fact that he was able to like even like get over that and like reach a final, I still think that's valuable, and like hopefully it shows that he's like improving in some capacity.
Yeah, there was a point where he lost to an unranked Yoshi player, which is like, damn, this guy doesn't even like play tournaments competitively. He's just having fun, and he plays Yoshi, and you lost it.
right. So yeah, I think it's still like valuable that he actually fucking was able to win the thing, you know.
Yeah, and I'm excited for when everyone shows up to the next, like, I guess, real tournament, like real big tournament when everyone is there. But I understand that everyone kind of needs a break, especially after, because Nintendo messed everything up with the big house, so there was going to be nothing. And it was kind of like in the off season, and then Ludwig was like, "I'm pulling everyone out of retirement for one last huge job, just because I hate that Big House was canceled." And he's like, "Come on, we just got to get everyone together, even though it's kind of last minute." And basically, they just pulled it all together, even though they had this time allotted to be free,
right?
So I get that a lot of people didn't want to be in this.
Yeah. Totally
hopefully
fair.
Zayn is okay. Zayn said his wrist hurt, which is why he wasn't there.
God damn, yeah. Hopefully he gets that shit checked out and whatever, yeah. Is there any kind of, projection as to when the next, like, big Smash event might be happening? Do you have any idea?
It's probably scheduled now, but I didn't look any further than this month in the calendar.
Gotcha,
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, just wondering. All right. Very cool. Yeah, no, HBox, if you're listening to this shit, dude, which I'm probably sure you are, well done. Very proud.
Yeah, shout out to HBox. Well played.
Shit, dude. I don't know. That's all that I had on the table, I think.
Yeah, me too, pretty much.
Shout out to Frank Pizza's guide for stupid assholes to play for Mega Man X. That's very good, very entertaining, very informative as well.
Now you'll finally be able to beat Mega Man X. I know you've been struggling with that.
Right. Yeah, no, God knows I needed that. Very informative and very entertaining as well. So shout out to that. Maybe Matthew will throw in a link on the description.
In the description, right? Yeah.
Any last words for Owen, dude?
Owen, you can't send me a video meme during the recording. Like, I can't watch this video while I'm talking to Daniel, so I can't count this.
Right. Fair. Cool. What did you learn today?
Damn, dude. I forget. Go ahead.
I learned that there's multiple Dunes. Like, there's like a whole universe that expands beyond like even 3 books. Holy shit! Oh no! Well, I learned that there's a Dune RTS on the Sega Genesis. Man, that's wild to me. That's wild to me. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I guess I learned that you are into Warhammer, but you are like incapable of actually engaging with it because of like the skill floor.
Yeah. Goddamn. Yeah, can't do it, or I don't bother with it, I guess, is a more accurate way to saying it.
It's definitely something I've always like known about, but I have no idea about like the lore.
Right. Yeah, very fair. I don't know. Very cool.
It seems interesting. It's just like one of those really niche things you hear people play, but don't actually ever play yourself.
Right. Yeah, I like fantasy and I like sci-fi, and that's like pretty much combining both. At least 40,000 both. So
cool. I think they're like magic priests in space or something.
Right. Yeah. So tune in next week when Matthew is going to fly down to Honduras. We're actually going to the episode in person in the same room.
And then the week after that, you'll fly to the US and we'll do the same.
Right. Very good. Matthew Peterson, was a damn good time, dude. Very good conversation.
Yeah.
I was very caffeinated, so I may have rambled on and blurred the topics that I was talking about, and I do apologize for that. But I don't know. I had a good time.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you all around.
Peace.